StraighTAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all of this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we're going into it, part one of what is planned to be a three-part series called Entrepreneur Disciplines. These are disciplines that you can execute on a consistent basis when you are running a business. Now I'll get into a little bit more explanation of that in a moment, but first let me tell you all that I send out a daily motivation text message free of charge every morning to everyone who's in my text community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. So if you want to receive that message, or at least it'll help you start your day that way, I mean, it's a text message. So you want to get that message, text me at my number 305-384-6894, and every morning when that daily motivation message goes out, you as a member of my texting community shall receive the message. Secondly, Work on Your Game University is the place where you go to take your next step in your Work on Your Game journey in terms of installing the mindsets, the systems, the strategies, and having the accountability to execute when it comes to taking your business, your professional life, and or your personal life where you want it to be. All of that is happening inside of Work on Your Game University. The way you get into the university as a member is by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. So if you just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, you'll see all the steps, or all the options rather, for the steps you need to take next to get into the university, get enrolled in a university where you can get a real life education, not the garbage that you got from whatever college campus that you went to and whatever bill you are still paying for that quote unquote education. We're talking about real life education for you to get real, actual, tangible results that you can measure. And you can say, I made this type of investment of my time, money, attention, energy, and focus. I got this out of it. It was worth it. That's what we're going to do at Work on Your Game University. If that sounds like a conversation you want to have with yourself, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is down below in the description. Now, with all of that said, let's get into what this series, this three-part series, being planned three-part series, is going to be about. This is for all the entrepreneurs listening, and I'm going to use these episodes to articulate things that you need to be doing on a consistent basis to get or keep your business running smoothly. This is not an all-inclusive list, because there are hundreds of things that you could be doing in your business, and it also, the other things that are not on this list, that 100 or so things that I don't have listed here, depends on what particular business you're running, how you decide to structure your business, and other details. But the things that I am going to share between today and the next episode and the one after that, these are all applicable to any business, and they work in any industry. So with that said, I don't need to give any more background on this. Actually, let me give a couple more pieces, two more things specifically. I want to give some definitions here, because I've heard people misuse and abuse these definitions of a couple of words that we're going to lay out here, so everybody knows what I'm talking about. Definition of a business is the practice of making one's living or making money by producing or buying and selling products. It is also known as any activity or enterprise entered into for profit. That is from Wikipedia. Now, that is not to say that every definition that comes from Wikipedia or everything on Wikipedia is actually true, but this one is accurate. So that's a definition of business. Making your living or making money, period, doesn't have to be your full-time thing, by producing or buying and selling products. Any activity or enterprise entered into for making a profit is defined as business. Okay, so now everybody knows what business is. Now, let me also give you a definition for entrepreneur. This is one that I mention often. Definition of entrepreneur is a person who organizes or operates a business or businesses taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. That's the definition of an entrepreneur. I want you to notice not only what is said in those definitions, but also what is not said. I've heard some people, there's some people who I know, some of them I know lightly, some of them I know a little bit deeper, who have insisted, and they insist consistently that in order to have a business, or what I've heard them even use the phrase, real business, that your business must be, that you have to sell your business or you have to build your business to sell it. This is 100% false. That is not true. You do not have to sell your business for it to be a business, nor do you have to sell any business ever in life in order for you to be an entrepreneur. You can start a business, own it your entire life, die, pass it off to your kids or whatever you want to do with it when you pass away, or whatever you planned on having done to it after you pass. You are still a full-fledged entrepreneur, and that is still a business. I just gave you the definitions of the words. And one thing that, the reason why I'm giving you those definitions is because, number one, I've heard people say, well, it's a real business only if you sell it, or you're only a real entrepreneur if you sold a business. And usually that's coming from people who have sold businesses, and they're trying to kind of put themselves one up above people who have not done so. And they're also trying to separate themselves from, because these days you have people who can be a TikToker, a YouTuber, an Instagrammer, or a blogger or something like that. And it takes very little to start a business like that. You don't really have to have any capital. You don't necessarily have to have any specialized knowledge. You can start your business from your couch, living in your parents' basement, and you can actually make money from that business. And there are entrepreneurs out there, and these people who I'm referring to are usually they're above my age bracket. So I'm 41 years of age. So these are people who are even older than me. They had to start businesses, well, they started businesses back when you had to have a lot more in order to start a business. You had to actually put several years in of work. You had to know all these different people. You might have even had to have some capital investment, whether it was your money or somebody else's money. And there was a lot more work it took just to start a business, as opposed to any of you. You're 22 years old. You can start a business from your laptop, and you don't even need any money. You could be using somebody else's Wi-Fi. You can start a business right now. So some of these folks are looking at you all who are starting businesses with very little investment necessary, and they're looking at themselves and all they had to put into starting a business, and it can be kind of annoying to them. That's the word that I would use. Some people use other terms. We'll just call it annoying to them to see other people being able to start businesses, and they don't have to work nearly as hard as these people, these older folks, had to work in order to start their businesses. So they want to redefine these terms and redefine what certain words mean, so that they create this separation between what they had to do and what you had to do. And I 100% understand it. I'm not mad at these people for doing it. I understand why they're doing it, and I understand the motivations behind it. However, even though I may be annoyed by it, even though I could be frustrated by it or bitter about it, that does not change the fact that a definition is a definition. All right, the dictionary is still the dictionary. All right, we can't go around, and we will not, and not over here at Work on Your Game, we are not going to go around redefining words just to make ourselves right. We're not going to do that, not over here. I told you that in episode 2385, the dictionary matters. All right, if you didn't hear that episode, it still matters. Even if you don't like the way someone is going about doing something, or you don't like the way that the process for doing something is different now, or quote unquote easier now than it was back in the day when you had to do it, hey, you can be annoyed by it, but that doesn't change the definition. For example, so I'm giving a lot more intro than I thought I was going to give here, but this needs to be said. I played basketball. Now, coming up in basketball, I graduated from college in 2004. I just told you my age, just to give you a framework of where I'm coming from. When I was coming up in basketball, there was a hierarchy that you followed. There was a ladder to be climbed. You played in your neighborhood, then you played for your local recreational team at the playground, then you played on your high school team, you played college, and you played pro. If you were good enough, you were able to move up on those levels. Some people's careers ended at the rec level. Some made it to high school, no further. Some got to college, and that was it. Some got to the pros, and that was it. Some went all the way to the Hall of Fame, whatever it happened to be. But there was a ladder to be climbed, and any basketball player, comparing ourselves to each other, you based it on who went further, who climbed higher on the ladder. That's how you could determine whether player A was better than player B or better than player C, by who climbed the ladder. Nowadays, you can do things in basketball that does not require the ladder. You can completely ignore the ladder and still make money from basketball, because the era that I came up in, the only way you can make money from basketball was you had to make it to the pro level, because college players couldn't make money. There was no name, image, and likeness deals. You couldn't get brand deals when you were in college. If you accepted $1 when you were a college athlete, you could be suspended, or there could be some kind of sanctions against you in the school that you played for, and you were ineligible to play basketball because you are not allowed to accept any money. Now it's completely different. So now you can have an athlete, they can never play on the recreational league team, not play in high school, college, or any level of professional basketball. They can do brand deals just from making random, funny, silly videos on YouTube about basketball. And they're making money from basketball. Now, are they technically a professional basketball player? Technically, no. They can be a professional content creator or professional influencer, and they happen to play basketball. It's not the same, but these people are making money from basketball. And somebody who had to climb the ladder back in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, can look at them and be like, wait, this person didn't have to do anything compared to what I had to do in order to get in the game. And they're not even as good as me at basketball, yet they're making just as much, if not more money from basketball than I did. And that could annoy some people. And I understand that. At the same time, the dictionary is still the dictionary. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? So now that I've laid all of that out, now that I've finished my TED Talk on definitions and what these things mean, let's get into our points. Point number one, topic once again, entrepreneur disciplines. I'm going to lay this out over 3 episodes in this series. Number one thing you need to be doing as an entrepreneur, watch the money. About 12 years ago from this recording, there was an album that came out. It was Kanye West and Jay-Z together. The album was called Watch the Throne. And I guess these guys were inadvertently saying that they were on the throne, that they were the kings of music. And I like that Watch the Throne album. Some of you may remember it and liked it yourself. Maybe you didn't like it. The whole point is, when I say watch the money, I'm thinking about that album. Watch the throne. Watch the money. What that means is, as an entrepreneur, by definition, this is your number one responsibility as a business owner. This is your number one responsibility, is watching the money. Watching it, whether it's coming out, whether it's going in, whatever is happening to it, your job is to watch it. Your job as a business owner is to increase the value of your business for the shareholders of the business. If that language is a little bit confusing to you or outside of your normal lingo, here's what it means. The shareholder of a business are the people who own the business. So if you don't have any co-owners of your business, you own 100% of your business, you are the number one and only shareholder. Your job is to increase the value of the business for you as a shareholder. Anything you want to do better at in life, folks, you got to pay more attention to it. What you focus on increases. What you ignore, it atrophies and it goes away. All right, everyone understand that? So, if you want to make more friends, focus on making friends. If you want to get in better shape, focus on getting in shape. If you want to get better at reading, spend more time reading. You want to get better at communication, spend more time on communication. Put more focus on your skill of communication, which means you'll probably find some information, some people, some knowledge, something is going to help you get better at it. If you focus on it, you are likely to get better at a thing. Now, you can get more specific as to what you're focusing on, and when you're focused on a thing, usually you will get more of it and you'll get better at it. Everybody follow me? So if you want to make more money, anyone who's listening to this, I think everyone who's listening to me right now probably wants to make more money. I know people who make $800,000 a year, they want to make more money. I know people who make $80,000 a year, they want to make more money. I know people who make $40,000 a year, they want to make more money. So everybody wants to make more money. So here's how you make more money. Pay more attention to how you're making money and what's happening with the money that you do have. That's what you got to do. It's a simple concept, and sometimes the simplest concepts are also the most true and the most accurate and the most necessary. Pay attention to how much you're spending on advertising and marketing. How much money are you generating in sales? How many people are considering buying your product? How many sales conversions are taking place in your business versus how many people are looking at stuff? How much traffic is coming through your website that could possibly buy something? Maybe you just need more traffic and you'll make more sales. What is the return on investment on your marketing budget? Who are you paying money to? Do you have staff members who you are paying? Do you have assistants that you are paying? Are you paying for software that is allegedly supposed to help you make money? Is it actually doing it? You see, my son has something to say about this. How much money are you paying people who are on your staff, and is that making you money? Is it not? Every dollar is coming in and going out. You should have some idea of what it is, why it is, and why it makes sense, or if it does not make sense. This is your job as an entrepreneur. Right? Even if you have a bookkeeper or an accountant, this is still your job to be watching the money. This is why you are in business, to watch the money. If you have a bookkeeper or accountant, you still need to be paying attention to the money. This is your job because it's your business. It is not their business. Understand that as a business owner, you should know where your business is right now this year compared to this time last year. Where are you this quarter compared to last quarter? Where are you financially this month compared to last month? You should know this stuff at all times. You should always know, where are we? Are we up compared to last year this time, or down? Are we doing compared to this month, last month? You should always be paying attention to this stuff. This is the number one most important reason why you are in business. Number one thing you should be paying attention to in business. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, we're talking entrepreneur disciplines. Again, this will be a 3-part series. Number 2, organized effort. This is one of your disciplines, is organized effort, which means what? Does not necessarily mean it has to be more than one person. This principle applies whether you have one person working in the business, that means it's just you as a sole proprietor doing everything on your own, or if you have 100 people or 1,000 people working in your business. Organized effort, this is one of Napoleon Hill's principles of success, by the way, 17 principles of success. It simply means that there is a plan and a rhyme and a reason to the effort that you are putting in, meaning you are putting in effort, work. I mean, this is work on your game, but there's some idea as to why you're doing this work and where it is actually taking you. That's what organized effort means. You are not just grinding blindly, which I talked about in episode number 1697, how to avoid grinding blindly forever and actually have a plan. You are not grinding blindly. You are not just working hard and hoping that something works out. All right, you're more mature than that in the way you're running your business. There's an organization and a method to your efforts that you are putting in, and those efforts are directed towards a specified, intended for outcome. There's a specific outcome you're trying to reach. A person who goes to the gym, for example, and they have a workout plan, they are executing organized effort because there's a plan to what they're doing when they get to the gym. When I played basketball, I would tell you all this, that every time I went to the gym, I knew what I was going to do before I got to the gym. I didn't get to the gym and just figure out, what am I going to do now that I'm here? I could do this, I could do that, I could do that. No, I came into the gym with a plan. That's why I was able to be more efficient. This is why you may hear some people say, especially when it comes to fitness, it's not how much time you spend doing the work, it's what do you get out of the work that you put in. All right, what are you getting out of that time? So an hour of focused, organized effort can produce a better result than 2 hours of random, unorganized effort. And that can be in any aspect of life. So a person who has a calendar of appointments for the day. Let's say you got your day mapped out on the calendar, what you're going to do, and you show up to each appointment and you handle things as necessary. You are executing organized effort. When you open up your CRM, that's the software that you use to manage the conversations and relationships you have with your customers, clients, and prospects, and you follow up on the prospects who you need to follow up on today, that is executing organized effort. So organized effort simply means you have a plan, a rhyme, and a reason for what you are doing. You hear me say this often, especially if you follow me on social media, you hear me talk about this all the time. You never show up to a situation and then figure out what you're going to do once you get there. You show up to the situation with a plan in mind of what you're going to do before you get there. And the more you prepare ahead of time for what you're going to do, the more efficient you can be when it's time to actually do stuff, whatever the stuff happens to be. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is entrepreneur disciplines. And we're going to lay out this over 3 episodes in this series. Number 3, controlling the calendar. Disciplined entrepreneur is in control of your calendar. What does this mean? One of the easiest ways to start using organized effort, as referenced in point number 2, is to use the calendar. What is a calendar? Everybody knows what a calendar is, right? Let's get a definition for the word calendar, just so everybody knows what it is. Oh, you know what it is, but let's get a definition. Let's see if I can find a definition. Definition for calendar. I'm scrolling here to see if I can find it. I got all kinds of things on here under calendar. Calendar definition is a chart or series of pages showing the days, weeks, and months of a particular year or giving particular seasonal information. That's what a calendar is. In other words, a calendar is logging and what's the word? It is documenting time. That's what a calendar does. It documents time. Why does that matter? And why is this one of the points? Because a calendar organizes your most valuable resource, which is your time, more valuable than money, attention, energy, and focus all put together. And all you have to do when you have a calendar is plug into each day and each time what you can do and prioritize what's going to happen every day. Why is that an important thing to do? Because your time is the most valuable resource, which means wasting time is worse than wasting energy, money, attention, or focus, again, all put together. Another thing about the calendar, and this is a built-in function of a calendar, is that calendars are finite, meaning they create a natural barrier and a natural guardrail against expansion. They create a natural guardrail against scope creep and project creep simply because a calendar is infinite. It's finite, excuse me. There's only so much time you have in a day, which means you can't fit 300 things into a calendar, one day of a calendar, usually, depending on how much time it will take for you to do each of those 300 things and how many people are responsible for doing them. Calendar creates a natural guardrail for what you can do and what you will have to, and what tough decisions you will have to make, since you can't do everything in one day most of the time. Everything that you do in your business should be on your calendar. I'm letting that point sink in. If you are a business owner, everything you do in your business needs to be on your calendar. You should know what everybody else is doing. If you have other people working with you, you should know what's on their calendar and what they're doing every day without calling them and asking them, what are you doing today? All you gotta do is look at the calendar that has everybody's tasks on it, and you know exactly what everybody's doing. The calendar is the simplest way to start organizing your activities. So any of you who is a little bit spooked out or anxious about this whole concept of organized effort and how do I get organized and start to operate in a more professional way, here's a simple way to get started. Open up the calendar app on your phone and start using it. Is there anyone here who cannot do this? Everybody has a calendar app on your phone. If you don't, go download one for free. Start using it. Every organized person, every professional does things by calendar. Let me ask you a question. When Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy, gets to work every day, does he have a calendar or what he's going to do? Or do you think he just walks into his office, sits there, starts twiddling his fingers and says, wonder what I'm going to do today. Let me see if I can figure something out. Do you think Elon Musk has a calendar? Or do you think President Biden has a calendar? Or do you think, name anybody you know of who is in demand, somebody who is popular, someone who is doing a lot of business, someone who is, by your definition, successful. Do they operate by calendar, or do they just show up, sit there, and just wait for something to happen, or just wait for things to happen to them? Or do they have a calendar and know exactly what's going to happen that day? We all know the answer. Let's recap today's class, which is part 1 of 3, Entrepreneur Disciplines. This is for all the entrepreneurs and soon-to-be entrepreneurs out there. These are disciplines you need to have consistently in your business. Ideally, you do these every day. Number 1, watch the money. This is your number 1 responsibility as a business owner, is increasing value for shareholders, and that's the money. This is your job as an entrepreneur by definition. Number 2, organize effort. This means you actually have a rhyme and a reason and a plan to what you are doing. You are not just randomly doing stuff or waiting for stuff to happen. Number 3, control the calendar. Calendar is the simplest way for anyone to get organized. So any of you who doesn't know what it means to be organized or doesn't know how to get started getting organized, I just killed that excuse. I just told you what to do. You got a calendar app on your phone, start using it. You have at least taken the first step towards being organized because you have a calendar. With that said, again, tomorrow we're going to go into part 2 of this. Text me and let me know you want to get that daily motivation message every single morning free of charge to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894, and workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to get super organized and really start figuring out what to put in that calendar and have a system for how these things are working consistently in your business, specifically that watching the money. You want to have some actual money to watch. All right, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and let's get started doing what we got to do. Again, that's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.